So welcome again to Vipassana Jhāna, the Jhāna community. We're here continuing to explore today the phases of insight. And in particular, I want to center the exploration today around the effort phase, which corresponds with the first Vipassana Jhāna. So if we're using the Jhāna model here, you may recall that the second, third, fourth, and fifth of the phases of insight, effort, breakthrough, disillusionment, and equanimity, again in this model, they map onto the first four Vipassana jhanas. So you could say these are one and the same. We explored the seeking phase, in which one begins to get clear on what one's doing in the practice, or even what one is doing as a practice. Why are you even doing this to begin with? Sometimes people will come to me, right? And they'll be like, hey, I want to learn the jhanas, or I want to get stream entry, or I want, to experience some other state. And I'll feel like, well, why? Why? I used to not ask that question as much. I used to just assume, oh, yeah, well, this person is just as into this thing as I am, and that's cool. And then I realized, well, actually, people are looking for these things for a variety of reasons, not least of which is to experience them. Sometimes we want to experience a state, but a lot of times we want to experience a state so that dot dot dot, so that there's some other reason in addition that we're doing these things. I want to experience a state so I can like brag about how I've experienced some state, or I can feel confident that I'm not wasting my time by showing that I can experience this thing, or whatever our reasoning might be. We can think that it's good to experience these things. So in the seeking phase, we get clear on exactly why it is that we're doing something, and the clearer we get, the more effective. And the more effective it is when we enter into the effort phase, when we actually start to get, once we've gotten clear on the direction we're going, that we're now putting our full attention and energy into that. Now, I want to also remind you of this model that's often used in the jhana work, called the factors of jhana, the jhanic factors. And there are considered to be five of these factors, factors of mind, mental factors, that come together in the experience of jhana, it's said, and in the first jhana in particular. And as you deepen through the jhanas, you progressively kind of relax these more gross of these factors and just relax into the most subtle of them. And that's kind of the way that the unfolding of the jhanas is described. So in these jhanic factors, two of them relate really directly, strongly to the effort phase, and this is the in the Pali language, these are called vitaka and vichara. Here they starts with a V, but the W sound predominates in English. We translate them vitaka and vichara, and they're translated in English in a variety of ways. The two that I like the most for both, vitaka can be translated here as applied thought or as course examination. I kind of like that one, course examination. And then vichara here would be precise investigation. So we have course examination and precise investigation. It also gets translated as applied thought and sustained thought, which is also helpful, I think. But here, the basic idea is that when, say, we're paying attention to, say, like our breath or any object of focus, we have to use these two capacities, these two factors of mind. We have to first apply ourselves to focusing on something. And then this leads to a kind of course examination. And then we have to sustain our attention with that object to precisely investigate what it is. So those are the two moves that we make. We apply our attention and then we sustain it. A lot of the effort phase is just this. It's doing this over and over again. I see some of you laughing because it's like, okay, yeah, This is it. You just keep applying, reapplying, and sustaining your attention. You get lost, you come back, you reapply your attention, you sustain it, and you just keep bringing your attention back over and over through this feedback loop of concentration, where we apply it, we sustain it, we get lost, we remember, we return, we reapply, we resustain, and that's the basic process. We tighten this loop up, and it gets tighter and tighter. You could say until we enter into the jhanic state. The loop gets tight enough of our attention gets gathered and is sustained enough of the time that we become absorbed in the experience that we're focusing on. And what does it mean to be absorbed? Well, it means when you're focusing on something that's far away, you're not absorbed in it, right? You say you're looking at something far off in the distance, that you might be seeing it, but you're not absorbed in it. As it comes towards you, imagine this thing that you're focusing on is coming towards you closer and closer, and you're pouring all of your attention into it. Say it keeps coming towards you until it's right upon you. And then it takes up your entire visual field. It's that close to you. It's so close that it takes the entire field of your experience up. And then let's say, then it merges with you and becomes one with you, and you're totally in it. That's the kind of absorption we're talking about here. That you become so close to these states that you merge with them, you get absorbed in them. This is the translation of jhana as absorption. So this is what we're aiming for, continuing to bring our attention to what it is that we're focusing on. The attention wanders. We notice that it's wandered at some point. This is an interesting point, right? The noticing that it's wandered. Is this something that we can make happen? Is this something we can do? Interestingly, I would argue it is not something that we can make happen or do in the moment that we're gone. Because in the moment that we're gone, we're literally gone. We're distracted. We've been pulled in a direction. If we're fully gone, we cannot, by definition, we don't even notice that we're gone. If we're partially gone, there might be an opportunity to notice that, oh yeah, the mind is kind of busy with this thought, even though there's maybe 20% of my attention is still here with the object. Okay, I've noticed that there's a noticing and a cognitive awareness. That can happen too. So there's some sense that we haven't been completely pulled off, but we're still partially pulled off. We notice that, we come back, we return. And we have to let go of the distraction at that point, right? What does it mean to let go of a distraction? Well, sometimes it just means you let go, and you're able to just peel yourself away from it, right? Like you can kind of you imagine peeling yourself from something. You're kind of stuck on it, right? We're stuck on the distraction, and some of our mental energy, we're glommed onto it. Our attention is glommed. We have to unglom ourselves, and sometimes it's very sticky, and sometimes it's not so sticky. And so we can kind of unpeel ourselves from the experience, and if we can let it go, then it sort of gradually and slowly dissolves, and we just return, and we're more fully with, say, our breath. If we can't pull ourselves from it, then we might get sucked back into the distraction and find ourselves looping again in thought, or thinking, fantasizing about this thing we're going to do after the Vipassana group is over. Like for me, it's going to be a hike. Yeah, I want to think about that now. Why I do this when I could be thinking about what I'm going to do next? So I'm describing this very mundane process that you all know from meditation, but which is, I think it's really good to talk about, because this is the basic thing of what we're doing here. We return our attention back. And the way I like to think about it is, every time we come back and we return, every time we bring ourselves back, we have the opportunity to bring more of ourselves back, more of our attention. It's like every time we return, we have the chance to return a little bit more whole. And that's kind of gradually what happens with this practice, is more and more of our attention gets gathered in one space. And we start to find this power in the wholeness of our attention, the integrity of whole attention. What is it like to have the power of your entire attention available to you? 100% of presence in one place. This is jhana. So, okay, I think I have an idea for what I want to do. I want to guide a meditation here, just focusing in particular on this process of working with the object until we get into the first jhana. And then I'd like to offer in this guided meditation some instructions on what Kenneth Folk, one of my teachers, calls the virtual nose pinch. This is a way of getting into the first jhana. It's a kind of trick for getting into the first jhana that uses the imagination of you. You'll imagine pinching your nose and holding it. So this is called the virtual nose pinch. And to do the virtual, I'll just explain it so that I don't have to explain it while I'm in the guided meditation. You have to be thinking a lot about it. So here's the reason this works. So the virtual nose pinch is a great tool for learning the first jhana, because in order to imagine pinching your nose and holding it, you have to apply both of these two jhanic factors, vitaka and vichara. You have to do the initial applied attention, which is the initial pinch, and then you have to sustain your imagining of that, because you're not actually physically doing it. You have to actually sustain this imaginal pinch. Could do it for a moment here just to sense it. Imagine pinching your nose and then imagine holding it. The other reason this works is because we're pinching right at the point that you're supposed to be looking in the first jhana. It points you to the first jhana eye posture, which is looking right down at the end of the tip of the nostrils. So it brings your attention down to this point, which is where we're looking in the first jhana, the virtual nose pinch. So I want to just offer some instructions on, getting into the first jhana, and then settling with the object, and then entering into the first jhana through the virtual nose pinch. And what I'll probably do is just I'll offer the guided instructions with like using the breath at the nostrils as the object, since that's close to where we're going to be pinching. And also because that's a nice one for getting into the first jhana initially, if you're comfortable with the breath. If you're not, I'd encourage you to find a different object